network reinforcement between Suffolk and Kent. It's an HVDC project, which means a high voltage direct current project. And we need this to reinforce the transmission network to get power from Suffolk into Kent and vice versa.
And why is it so important that this network is put into place? Why do we need this now?
So this is one of a suite of projects that we call the Great Grid Upgrade. So this is about rewiring the network to allow us to get electricity, to get power from where it's increasingly going to be generated, offshore wind, that sort of thing, into the network to homes and businesses where it's needed. What we need to do is reinforce this network to reflect the changing geography of generation, if you like. We need to be able to get power from where it's increasingly generated, from where we increasingly get it, into the network to the homes and businesses that really need it.
So that's Seb, who spoke to me back last December when he was here at the Royal Harbour Academy about the sealing project. And this project is at the moment still in its consultation, moving forward for plans. And Nick and Becky joining me in the studio. Nick, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you. Now, we're talking about Save Minster Marshes because the marshes and what they will propose to build on the marshes is a big part of this sealing project, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So thanks for having me here, firstly, Paul.
You're welcome.
So we totally agree with the concept of the project and the importance of it. And we're not against the concept of green energy, certainly not. But we feel that this project is being rushed. It's happening in a very special place, and it's going to be a massive cost to what's left of our environment here in Thanet. And I want to get off the top that National Grid is a private company. But, you know, last year they profited £4.8 billion that went to shareholders. So we really feel like this is a private company rushing into this development.
Yeah. Now, let's tell our listeners what the intention of what is going to be built basically on the Minster Marshes.
Yeah, so what's going to be happening? So they're going to be bringing a cable in from Suffolk, and that's going to be coming in through Pegwell Bay via a great big trench. Pegwell Bay being a site of special scientific interest. Then they're going to be taking it under the golf courses, St Augustine's and Stoneleys, under the road, and they're going to be coming out of the ground over in Sevenscore, and they're going to be building a giant converter station. We're talking 100 feet high, and it's around about, 6 hectares high? It keeps growing in size. Mm-hmm. So the cable's coming in, and then they're going to be building a great big converter station out on the marshes. So we've got to think about all the infrastructure that's required to do that, all the roads, all the fencing. And of course, we have to remember that the construction process itself is going to be causing irreversible damage to the environment. It's not just the actual building, it's building the building that's going to be a big part of the problem.
Now, Nick, you're a local environmentalist. Minster Marshes is a special environmental place. It has its own almost ecosystem. So what is there in the marshes that we have the risk of losing?
We've got everything out on the marshes. It's an incredible place, and I'm from Minster, and I'm a keen environmentalist, as you mentioned, and Minster made me who I am. And out on those marshes, we have got the world's fastest animal, the peregrine falcon, the fastest declining mammal being the water vole. We've got the fastest declining bird being the turtle dove. We've got nightingales out there. We've got long-eared owls, short-eared owls, barn owls, tawny owls, little owls. We've got ravens. We've got so many bats. The list goes on. We have got so much wildlife out there.
Mm. And the problem here, if they're building on the marshes, the fact this nature is basically going to disappear. It's going to have to go either somewhere else to live, and it's not that easy, or it's just going to die.
That's it. And you know, we're in a position now where the damage will be irreversible. You can't really mitigate for the giant plans they've got. And I can't really emphasise enough just how big it is. Now, there's various reasons why not here. You know, there's climate implications such as flooding. There's aesthetic and recreational value. There's cumulative impact because they keep on building. There's the carbon footprint of building on the marshes. That's massive. There's noise pollution, light pollution, a risk of bird strike. There's the sewage treatment won't be able to expand. And building it inland, we've got to worry about the security of our grid. If our grid's built on land, it's harder to defend. It's easier to defend it if it was built out at sea. The site is a triple SI. And of course, at the end of that, all the special wildlife that's out there. There is so many reasons to not build it here.
Yeah. Let's bring Becky in. Becky, Green Councillor, nice to see you again, Becky.
Good morning and hello.
Welcome back to the studio. Now, from your side, we've seen lots of building going on across Thanet. We just talk about it. We see what's happening on the Hayne Road with more houses, what's happening on the airport. This is another example of us losing precious land.
It is, and we always seem to be dealing with the big end of the problem. So we're sat here in the Royal Harbour. The Hayne Road is there's thousands of houses going up. None of them have got grey water harvesting. very few of them have got solar panels on. I asked a question at the councillor briefing about how will residents benefit from this. My assumption was that we'd have lower energy bills. I don't think that question wasn't answered. And for me, this is about driving greater consumption, and what we really should be doing is making households more efficient and putting solar panels on, creating smaller little power units so that streets can become their own little power stations. There's a project in Walthamstow that's trying to achieve that, but instead we go for these massive projects that blight the land, and all it does is increase benefits and bonuses for shareholders. We don't seem to be putting customers at the heart of this, and there isn't a proper costing for the impact on the environment. So the environment always suffers because we're looking at the cheapest option. I mean, the marshes, the word marshes should be crucial there. It's a floodplain. Yeah. One of the concerns I have is the cumulative impact of the various developments that are going on in and around the marshes, all of which is going to hamper that area's ability to actually be a natural sponge to soak that water up. There is already a flooding issue out there. So, I've got great concerns. It's not just about the wildlife and the biodiversity, which is so important for us to keep and nurture and expand. There's flooding issues as well.
Yeah. Nick, Becky, stay there. Going to play a quick piece of music. Come back. We're going to talk about what your call to action is, Nick, because there's things that we can do as residents across Thanet to have our say about saving Minster Marshes. Going to play some Blur, though, before that. Here's Charmless Man. Huge project. Nick, just tell us a little bit about the timeline here, because it's been going on for some time.
Yes.
But what's happening?
So this is a DCO. This is going to be a government decision, and it's going to take a long time. So they're not going to be planning to actually do any construction until 2026. So we've got quite a timeline here, and they're going to be submitting their development consent order in 2025.
Yeah.
So this is a long battle.
And the important thing, it is through central government, so it's higher than anything either district or county. That's an important point, isn't it, Becky? Actually?
It is an important point, and it is really important that people engage, because if you look at the recent one, which was Manston Airport, there is a whole load of requirements that have to be followed by the people that are going to develop the airport. So it's really important that people engage in this one, because we want to make sure that if the decision is in favour of this development, that as much mitigation is put in place as possible to protect not just people in and around the area in relation to flooding, but also the environment as well. And very often the biodiversity mitigations are pretty poor, actually, and they're all afterthoughts. Yes. So there are developments on that site that have meant to have increased biodiversity, and there isn't a blade of grass left.
Now, we've already lost some things, actually, and one thing that I've noticed driving coming from Richborough, particularly on the new dual carriageways, of course, that wind turbine that was there as a bit of a kind of pilot when it was built in the late 80s, early 90s. And it was only the other week I was driving past and thought, it's gone. Yeah,
that's it. It was an absolute landmark, that prototype wind turbine, which is a testament to the wind industry. Yeah. It's been taken down by the very industry that it helped to create. And that was actually home to nesting ravens. It was home to peregrines, and it was also a bat roost. And it got taken down without anyone really realising. It got felled like a tree using explosives and then broken up with diggers on the ground. So it was really sad to see that go. And the whole Richborough Power Station site now has been covered in hard standing, built up by about 2 metres. That is a lot of hardcore because it's a floodplain. And they've built battery storage on there. There's loads of big containers that are lithium batteries. So we've lost that entire site to batteries. We've lost a wind turbine. There's going to be a solar park built to help support the sewage works. And there's going to be a grid stability building built next to the sewage works as well. That's happening. The council gave permission to do that. And also, believe it or not, when the power station was there in Richborough, there was a great big nature reserve behind it. Powergen had a nature reserve. Yeah. And of course, that's been long forgotten now.
Yeah. Now, the problems and the challenges and wanting to save parts of our land here in Thanet, in East Kent, the same is happening actually over in Suffolk, isn't it? Which is where this link is going between. Tell me about this, Nick.
Suffolk are fighting the same battle as us because they want to bring the cable from here to Suffolk. And we're trying to work closely with Suffolk as well, because we're both fighting the same battles. Because there are alternative sites. There is alternative sites, and we want them to consider them. And they have launched a scheme called offshoreforshore.com, because we can build this grid stability building offshore. It's cheaper, It's quicker, so it's 50% less onshore substation and cables. It's cheaper by about 2 billion, and it's better. It's less destruction for the environment and the communities, and it's better, easier to defend our grid if they're built out at sea as well. So offshoreforshore.com is a website well worth visiting, and helps Suffolk out as well.
Okay, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Now let's have some calls to action here, because there are things that we can do to save the marshes. So firstly, one thing I know that you're asking local residents and people across Thanet to do is to write to the local MP.
Yes, we have a call to action. You know, we really want people to keep on talking about it, to keep talking about this subject, because it's a long process and we don't want to lose the wind from our sail. And you can do that by writing to your MP. And Kent Wildlife Trust have a template on their website as well. Kent Wildlife Trust are also fighting this battle because they're going to be destroying part of Pegwell Bay, their flagship nature reserve. Kent Wildlife Trust are running the Rethink Sea Link campaign. So you can go on their website to help you template a letter to write to your MP. And you can head to our website, minstermarshes.com. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can join our mailing list to keep updated, and you can sign our petition. And you can also, at any time you like, you can tell National Grid what you think by contacting them. So, yeah, we just want people to keep on talking about it.
Yeah, let's get the message out there. The more people talk about it, the more people realise what this project is going to have an impact to us here and to our local area. And you've got an event taking place at the Ramsgate Yacht Club on the 18th of September, which we're urging people to come along to. It's at 7 o'clock. So tell me about this public meeting.
So we've been having public meetings to raise awareness, because not many people really quite grasp just how big and bad this project is. I do a presentation. It takes me 45 minutes to talk about this subject. And we're having a public meeting at the Royal Temple Yacht Club in Ramsgate on Wednesday the 18th of September at 7 p.m. And we've got a very special guest speaker, Roger Morgan Grenville, who's a well-known activist, and he's going to be speaking there as well. So it'll be a really good event to turn up to and learn more about this.
Definitely. Now, I put a link to your Facebook page on our post this morning, so
Brilliant,
people will go to our page and click through to that. Keep in touch with us, Nick and Becky. I know you will.
Yep.
As things continue to progress, make sure you come back and tell us more about it, particularly maybe as we get towards the autumn. We can talk more about this, and obviously the campaign continues to save Minster Marshes. Thanks for joining me this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks for having us on. Thanks for helping us protect our environment.